Welcome back. Please like, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. Hey everyone, and welcome back to The Global Beat. I'm Alex.
And I'm Jamie. We're diving into some really important, though unfortunately quite serious news today from the Middle East.
That's right, Jamie. We're talking about a recent tragic incident where President Trump has expressed deep sorrow and promised a very strong response following a deadly attack in Syria.
Yeah, it's a truly terrible situation. On December 14th, 2 U.S. service members and a civilian interpreter lost their lives in an ambush. And guess who was behind it? ISIS.
Wow, that's just awful. You know, this attack really highlights that even with all the counterterrorism efforts, ISIS is still a persistent threat in the region. It's not gone away completely.
Exactly. Reports say the U.S. patrol was targeted in an area where our forces work to advise and assist local partners. Basically, they help local groups fight the remaining parts of ISIS.
Right. And President Trump, he really mourned the loss. He sent his condolences, his deepest sympathies to the families of those who were killed. He also stressed the ultimate sacrifice they made for our country.
Absolutely. He condemned this act of terror, calling it out very clearly. He stated that the United States simply won't tolerate this kind of aggression against its people or its interests abroad.
So what does that mean going forward, Jamie? He promised retaliation, but what kind?
Well, Alex, he didn't give specific details about the planned response just yet, but his language was definitely very strong, suggesting a robust and decisive action is imminent. You know, coming soon.
I see. So the aim is to further weaken ISIS, right? To degrade their capabilities and deter them from launching future attacks against U.S. and allied forces in Syria.
Precisely. It's about making sure these attacks don't happen again. This whole incident is a really stark reminder, a clear warning, of the ongoing challenges in keeping the Middle East stable and secure. It's a complex theater for sure.
It certainly is. Our hearts go out to the families of those lost in this tragic event. We'll be keeping a very close eye on this developing story.
And we'll bring you all the updates right here on The Global Beat. Thanks for joining us today.
See you next time. Welcome back to Global Pulse, everyone. Well, happy holidays, Jamie, but maybe not quite as happy in Germany right now after some truly unsettling news.
You know, Alex, it's a really sobering headline we're discussing today. German authorities just announced a critical intervention, literally saving Christmas festivities for countless people.
Exactly. Just yesterday, on December 14th, they successfully thwarted what they called an Islamist-backed plot. The chilling target? A beloved Christmas market somewhere within the country. It's a scenario no one wants to imagine.
Wow, a Christmas market. That's just awful to conceive of, especially during such a joyful, festive time of year when families, children, and friends are out together enjoying the traditions. It's meant to be a place of peace.
Absolutely. This intervention comes right as European nations are already on edge, rightfully so, heightening security across the continent for the entire holiday period. It's a time that, unfortunately, has historically been a target for extremist groups looking to spread fear.
Right. So, did they give many details about the specific market location or how many individuals were involved in this conspiracy, or identify who exactly these Islamist elements were? Everyone must be wondering.
Not a lot of specifics yet, Jamie, and that's typical for these situations. Officials are keeping those details tightly under wraps, citing ongoing investigations. They've only confirmed that the operation involved elements linked to Islamist extremism and that swift, decisive action was taken.
Goodness. So a very real, very dangerous threat that was successfully stopped from happening. It's truly a testament to their intelligence services and law enforcement acting in concert.
Precisely. Their incredibly quick action prevented this horrific plan from actually materializing, from becoming a real tragedy on German soil. Imagine the chaos, the fear, and the lasting impact it could have caused. It's a huge win for security, but also a very potent reminder.
It really is. It highlights how intelligence and law enforcement agencies have to be constantly vigilant, constantly on guard, sometimes around the clock, especially with public gatherings and symbolic events like these beloved Christmas markets. You know, places where people naturally gather and feel safe.
Exactly. You know, this incident is definitely going to lead to further deep reviews of security protocols for public spaces, not just in Germany, I expect, but probably across other European countries too as the festive season progresses. Everyone will be scrutinizing their own procedures now.
I can only imagine. It's a stark reminder of the continuous, often unseen effort needed to keep everyone safe during what should be a peaceful and celebratory time for everyone.
Definitely. A scary thought, but a crucial piece of news that shows us that even amidst the holiday cheer and lights, vigilance remains absolutely paramount for our collective safety and security.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Daily Digest. Jamie, we're starting off with some truly concerning news today, aren't we?
Absolutely, Alex. It's news no one ever wants to hear, especially when it involves a university campus.
That's right. We're talking about Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. They were placed on lockdown yesterday, December 14th.
Yes, following reports of an active shooter on campus. Can you imagine the fear, with students likely in the middle of final exams?
It's heartbreaking to think about. The reports confirmed multiple casualties, Jamie, which is just awful.
Wow, multiple casualties. That's devastating. But there is some relief, right? Authorities responded very quickly.
They did. Officials later confirmed a suspect was taken into custody, so thankfully the immediate danger to students and staff has been alleviated.
That's a huge relief, at least. But even with the suspect in custody, the aftermath must be incredibly difficult. They're describing it as a mass shooting event, you know?
Exactly. While details about the exact number of injured or deceased aren't fully released, the university community is grappling with this tragedy. There were immediate alerts and shelter-in-place orders.
Right. Law enforcement has secured the area, and they've already started investigating the motive. It's so important to understand why these things happen.
Definitely. And it just adds to the ongoing concern over school violence here in the U.S., doesn't it? Every time this happens.
It takes an enormous emotional toll on everyone involved, the whole community. It's just awful.
It really is. The good news is Brown University is already making crisis support and counseling services available to everyone on campus.
That's crucial. Support is so important after an event like this. Our thoughts are definitely with the Brown University community.
Welcome back to Global Insights. Jamie, I've got some really positive and frankly quite surprising news to kick us off today. Something that genuinely gives me a lot of hope.
Oh, do tell, Alex. We certainly need more of that, don't we? What's caught your attention?
Well, big news out of Belarus. They've just announced the release of a whopping 123 political prisoners. Can you believe it? That's a massive number.
Wow, 123. That's incredible. And I heard some truly prominent figures were among those freed. People like Ales Bialyatsky, the Nobel Peace Prize winner, right? And Maria Kolesnikova, a very well-known opposition leader.
Exactly. Both of them and many others had been imprisoned on charges that were widely condemned as politically motivated. So their release is a massive deal for human rights. But here's the truly interesting part. This mass release comes right after the United States lifted its sanctions against Belarus.
Ah, I remember hearing about that. So this wasn't just a coincidence then. It sounds like a very deliberate diplomatic strategy by President Trump's administration to encourage some real changes.
Precisely. The U.S. decision to ease those sanctions was definitely seen as a strategic diplomatic push. The main aim was to encourage further democratic reforms and significant improvements in human rights conditions within Belarus. It's diplomacy at work, and it seems to have yielded results.
That's fascinating. So we're essentially seeing a potential thaw or a warming up in what have been very strained relations between the U.S. and Belarus for a long time. It sounds like a significant turning point.
Absolutely. And the international community is really welcoming this development. Human rights organizations and observers are calling it a crucial step, a positive gesture that could pave the way for increased engagement and dialogue between Belarus and Western nations.
Right. It directly addresses those long-standing international concerns about Belarus's human rights record. It's a hugely significant development. And honestly, Alex, I'm really hopeful this is just the beginning of more positive changes.
Here's hoping, Jamie. A big win for human rights and a testament to sustained diplomatic efforts.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Global Glimpse. Jamie, we've got some pretty intense news brewing in the South China Sea that really highlights ongoing tensions.
We sure do, Alex. It's a situation that just keeps heating up, and unfortunately, it's impacting real people. We're talking about a recent clash where 3 Filipino fishermen were actually injured during an encounter.
Wow, injured? That sounds incredibly serious. Can you give us the lowdown? What exactly happened on the ground, or rather on the water?
Absolutely. So on December 14th of this year, near a place called Sabina Shoal, which is quite close, about 150 kilometers from the Philippine island of Palawan, Chinese Coast Guard vessels reportedly escalated an encounter. They used powerful water cannons against Filipino fishing boats and, even more dangerously, cut their anchor lines.
Cutting anchor lines, that's not just an inconvenience, right? That's an incredibly aggressive maneuver. It could easily cause boats to drift into hazardous areas, collide, or even capsize in rough waters. And 3 fishermen were hurt because of this?
That's precisely it, Alex. Philippine authorities confirmed 3 injuries. Beijing, on its part, stated that it only took necessary control measures, claiming there were approximately 20 Philippine fishing boats in the vicinity. But necessary control measures sounds a bit understated when people are actually getting physically harmed. This area, Sabina Shoal, is incredibly rich in marine resources, so it's a vital fishing ground for these communities.
I mean, considering the history here, this isn't an isolated incident, is it? We've been hearing about these kinds of confrontations for years in the South China Sea.
No, not at all. This incident marks just the latest in a troubling series of clashes. China claims almost the entire South China Sea, drawing what's called the 9-dash line, despite an international arbitral ruling that actually invalidated those expansive claims. Basically, they're disregarding international law in these contested waters.
Exactly. And that makes maritime security and freedom of navigation a huge concern, not just for the Philippines, but for all nations that rely on these shipping lanes. This kind of aggressive action really raises questions about regional stability. I wonder how key allies, like the U.S. under President Trump, are viewing this increasing aggression and the potential for miscalculation.
It's definitely raising significant diplomatic concerns, Alex. There's a real worry among international observers about things escalating further in such a strategically important region. These Filipino fishermen are just trying to make a living and provide for their families, and they're getting caught directly in the middle of these much larger geopolitical disputes. It's a dangerous situation for them.
A truly troubling and complex situation that seems to be getting more volatile. We'll definitely be keeping a close eye on this as it continues to develop. Thanks for breaking that down for us, Jamie.
My pleasure, Alex.
Welcome back to Global Pulse, everyone. We've got some major news from the White House that's really shaking up international relations. President Trump's administration just unveiled its new National Security Strategy, or NSS. Jamie, this isn't just a minor update, is it?
Not at all, Alex. This is a monumental moment. The document, which came out on December 14th, is being described as a significant philosophical shift in American foreign policy. It really redefines how the U.S. sees its role on the global stage. It's a big deal.
Okay, a philosophical shift. Can you break down what that actually means for our listeners? What's it moving away from, and what's it moving towards?
Good question. For a long time, U.S. foreign policy often aimed for something called global dominance, or involved trying to build democracies in other countries. That's nation building. But the new NSS clearly states the U.S. should not be pursuing those goals anymore.
Wow, that's a pretty radical departure. So if the U.S. isn't seeking global dominance or nation building, what is the priority now?
Exactly. Instead, the strategy advocates for a foreign policy centered entirely on prioritizing American interests. It also emphasizes promoting the sovereignty of nation-states globally. Essentially saying each country should focus on its own priorities. It's a very America-first approach.
I see. And how does this impact America's relationships with other major global players? Like, what about Russia and China, or even our traditional European allies?
That's where it gets really interesting. The strategy talks about seeking strategic stability with Russia, so trying to manage that relationship carefully. With China, it aims for a new balance of power, which sounds like a more competitive, perhaps cautious approach. And for European allies, it's about redefining terms of engagement, suggesting a more transactional partnership based on shared immediate interests.
So less about long-standing, unwavering alliances, and more about specific, mutually beneficial deals in the moment. It sounds less interventionist too.
Precisely. It's definitely a less interventionist stance. This really marks a radical departure from past foreign policy doctrines that often champion things like liberal internationalism or relied heavily on multilateral institutions and global governance. This NSS is all about national self-interest.
And encouraging other nations to prioritize their own interests too, right?
It sounds like it wants to reform international organizations to better align with American goals.
You've got it, Alex. The strategy's strong emphasis on national self-interest and this reevaluation of traditional alliances is really poised to reshape global geopolitical dynamics. We're talking about a significant shift in how major powers and regional blocs might interact from now on.
Fascinating stuff, Jamie. A truly pivotal moment in U.S. foreign policy. Thanks for breaking that down for us.
My pleasure, Alex.
Welcome back to Global Pulse, everyone. Today, we're bringing you some incredibly urgent and distressing news from the Gaza Strip. Jamie, it sounds like an absolutely dire situation unfolding there.
It really is, Alex. We're talking about a severe winter storm that just ravaged the region on December 14th, 2025. This storm has tragically exacerbated an already desperate humanitarian crisis in Gaza, pushing people to their absolute limits.
Wow. Exacerbated is the key word, isn't it? The reports are truly heartbreaking. At least 14 lives have been lost. That's just a tragic number in any situation.
Absolutely. And what makes it even more devastating is that 3 of those casualties were young children. They tragically succumbed to hypothermia, which really highlights the extreme vulnerability and dire living conditions there, especially for those families who are already displaced and sheltering in temporary, inadequate structures.
Right. Imagine being in a flimsy, temporary shelter, already struggling daily, and then a severe storm hits with freezing temperatures and strong winds. The report also confirmed that at least 13 homes collapsed due to the storm. These were homes that had already sustained damage from the ongoing conflict, meaning even more families are now completely homeless and cruelly exposed to this harsh weather.
Exactly. It's a compounding tragedy, truly. Gaza's essential infrastructure, like power and sanitation, is already so incredibly fragile, and their aid services were already struggling and completely overwhelmed even before this storm. Now, with heavy rains, powerful winds, and freezing temperatures, it's just added an unbearable and immediate burden on an already desperate population.
So, what are the humanitarian organizations on the ground saying? What specific help do they need right now?
They are making incredibly urgent appeals, Alex, for immediate international assistance. They desperately need adequate shelter materials, essential heating supplies, which is paramount given the freezing temperatures, along with food and critical medical aid for the tens of thousands affected.
It really brings into focus the global responsibility we have. While President Trump has often highlighted domestic priorities, humanitarian crises like this in Gaza truly demand a collective international response. The United States, as a global leader, has a crucial role to play in supporting these appeals and ensuring aid reaches those who desperately need it.
Absolutely, Alex. The tragic loss of life, especially among those most vulnerable children, unequivocally underscores the urgent need for a more robust, sustainable, and coordinated humanitarian response. It's not just about immediate emergency aid. It's about addressing the deep-seated, long-term needs in Gaza to prevent future catastrophes.
Exactly. Our thoughts and hearts certainly go out to everyone affected by this tragedy. We'll continue to follow this story closely and hope for a rapid and strong international response. Thanks for bringing us up to speed, Jamie.
My pleasure, Alex. This is definitely one to keep an eye on.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to History Uncovered. Today, Jamie and I are diving into some very significant, though undeniably somber news from around the world. Jamie, what's on your mind for our listeners?
Alex, it's a big story that's really resonating globally. Just recently, on December 14th, 2025, China marked its 12th National Memorial Day for the victims of the Nanjing Massacre. You know, a truly dark and horrific chapter from World War II that many people are still learning about.
Right. A deeply painful event that demands remembrance. For our listeners who might not be fully familiar, the Nanjing Massacre happened back in 1937. During that time, Japanese troops tragically killed an estimated 300,000 Chinese civilians and unarmed soldiers. It's an almost unimaginable loss of life and a profound tragedy.
Exactly. And the commemoration itself sounds incredibly moving. Thousands gathered in Nanjing, with flags flown at half-mast and sirens blaring across the city, all to honor those victims and reflect deeply on that period of brutality. But this year, there was also a really crucial and quite frankly groundbreaking announcement that unfolded.
Ah, yes, the new evidence, right? I saw that report and immediately thought of our show. It's connected to Japan's infamous Unit 731, isn't it? And crucially, it came from Russian archives?
You've got it, Alex. China has officially received a significant batch of new evidence from Russia concerning Unit 731. For those who might not know, this was a Japanese biological warfare unit that conducted absolutely horrific and inhumane human experiments during World War II. It's truly shocking to even comprehend.
Wow, that's just chilling to the core. Unit 731 represents such a dark extreme of human cruelty and scientific misuse. Biological warfare, vivisection, human experimentation, it's something that really needs to be understood thoroughly to ensure it's never, ever repeated. So what exactly does this new evidence contain that makes it so significant?
Well, it's quite extensive and incredibly valuable, actually. Provided directly by Russian archives, the collection includes actual trial records of Unit 731 members. Imagine getting direct testimony from those involved. Plus, there are detailed investigation reports on the unit's horrific crimes and even internal Soviet official correspondence. And this critical material spans a long period, from 1939 all the way to 1950.
That's a huge time frame of documentation, offering incredible depth. So this isn't just a handful of pages, it's a substantial collection that will likely offer unprecedented insights into these atrocities. What's the ultimate goal here with China acquiring these documents?
The primary hope is that it will further shed light on the unspeakable atrocities committed by Unit 731, and importantly, truly reinforce the historical narrative of Japanese wartime brutality. Ultimately, Alex, it serves as a powerful, undeniable reminder about the critical importance of historical truth and the ongoing global pursuit of peace.
Absolutely. Remembering history, even the darkest and most uncomfortable parts, is absolutely essential. It's how we learn, how we grow as a global community, and how we ensure these kinds of horrific events are never forgotten and hopefully never repeated. A very powerful and important story, Jamie, with lasting implications.
Agreed. A solemn but incredibly necessary discussion for our times.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Global Pulse, your weekly update on world news. Jamie, we've got some pretty significant news coming out of Southeast Asia this week, don't we?
We certainly do, Alex. It's all about Thailand, where the political landscape has just been thrown into major uncertainty. On December 14th, the Prime Minister there made a huge announcement. They've dissolved Parliament.
Wow, dissolved Parliament. For our listeners, that basically means calling an early election, right? Triggering what they call snap elections. That's a pretty dramatic move domestically.
Exactly. It's a big deal. And the official reason given, Alex, is to return power to the people and try to address some internal political divisions within the country. You know, kind of a political reset button.
Right, a political reset. But what makes this really stand out, in my opinion, is the timing. This isn't happening in a vacuum, is it? It's all against a backdrop of intensifying border clashes.
Oh, absolutely not. That's the crucial context here. We're talking about their neighbor, Cambodia. The border disputes between Thailand and Cambodia, especially over some contested territories, have seen a real resurgence of hostilities lately.
Yeah, it's not just minor skirmishes. Reports suggest these are serious military confrontations, and it's gotten to the point where it's catching international attention, which is significant.
It really is. In fact, there have been diplomatic efforts, including direct engagement from President Trump himself, aimed at de-escalation. That tells you how serious the international community views this situation.
That's fascinating, isn't it? President Trump getting involved personally in trying to calm tensions between Thailand and Cambodia. It highlights the risk of broader regional instability if these conflicts aren't resolved.
Precisely. You know, despite those high-level efforts, it seems the tensions haven't fully gone away. So now, Thailand is heading into these snap elections with a very live and active security situation right on its border.
Right. And you can bet that this security situation is going to heavily influence the upcoming elections. I mean, imagine being a political candidate, Jamie. What are you going to be campaigning on?
Exactly. National security and foreign policy, especially concerning the conflict with Cambodia, will undoubtedly be top priorities for all the political parties. Voters will want to know how leaders plan to ensure safety and stability.
Absolutely. It's going to be a really defining election, not just for Thailand's internal politics, but also for its relationship with its neighbors and regional peace.
Definitely one to keep a close eye on. A lot is at stake for the future of Southeast Asia.
Welcome back to Global Pulse, everyone. Alex here with Jamie, and do we have a fascinating story for you today?
We certainly do, Alex. Imagine being a president and then, while on an official visit, you become a citizen of another country.
Exactly. We're talking about Argentine President Javier Milei. He's just been officially granted Italian citizenship during his current visit to Rome. The announcement came on December 14th, 2025.
Wow, that's pretty quick, isn't it? I mean, he's a head of state, of course, but still, it's quite a development. He was actually in Italy for some important diplomatic meetings, right?
That's right. He met with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and even attended her Brothers of Italy Party's annual festival. So, a busy trip for him.
And I remember reading that President Milei has always felt a strong connection to Italy. He once said he felt 75% Italian.
Yeah, he did. And that's because 3 of his grandparents came from the Calabria region of Italy. So there's a real personal tie there for him.
You know, it's interesting because on one hand, this sounds like a great personal story for him and for strengthening ties between Argentina and Italy.
Absolutely. But as with many things, especially on social media, it's also sparked quite a bit of controversy and anger.
Exactly. Many people are pointing out how difficult it is for children of migrants born in Italy to get citizenship, let alone for long-term residents with ancestral ties.
Right. They're saying the swiftness of President Milei's citizenship process really contrasts with the arduous, lengthy journey many ordinary people face. It's a double standard in their eyes.
It truly highlights the ongoing debate about citizenship policies, doesn't it? On one side, it's a personal connection for a president, potentially improving international relations.
And on the other, it's a stark reminder of the challenges and inequalities within current citizenship laws. It's certainly added a unique personal dimension to his international role, but it's also ignited a very important conversation.
For sure. It's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds and if it pushes for any changes or reviews of those policies. What a story, Alex.
Definitely one to watch. Thanks for joining us on Global Pulse.